Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of my Fiber Arts podcast. I am the Purling pilot. My name is Shelby, and I'm coming to you from Southern Ontario, Canada. I am a full-time fire service professional who is pursuing a career change to be a commercial helicopter pilot. But in my off time, I am an avid fiber artist, and I love all things knitting, crocheting, and spinning. My fiber of choice is Angora or dog fur. I love to experiment with my 14-year-old Australian Shepherd's fur. And yeah, that keeps me pretty busy. So this is episode 1. It's going to be a mix of a traditional knitting podcast format where I share my finished objects, works in progress or WIPs, things that I've made in the past, things that I want to make in the future, acquisitions. But I'm gonna also incorporate my flying journey and share where I'm at in my training, because I think that that is an interesting part of my life. So if that sounds like it's up your alley, then please grab a drink, grab whatever project you're working on, and join me. Today I'm wearing the Thea top by Suzanne Mueller. If you see me looking down this way, it's just because I have some notes that I'm going to be referencing. I made this top a few years ago. This yarn is one of my favorite yarns that I've ever encountered before. It is Gateway Fiber Works, made in Muskoka. 75% Southwest Merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% silk. We are going through a heat wave here in Southern Ontario, as well as many parts of the world. So this, although it is merino, it is a very nice summer garment to wear. I've not sweated at all in this. It's nice and loose, breezy, keeps me cool, but it's soft and comfortable, really nice next to skin fabric. So highly recommend the pattern and highly recommend the yarn. Today's episode is going to be all about blankets. Blankets are my comfort project to make. I don't need any more blankets in my life. I have so many blankets, but I really love to make them and I love to give them as gifts. So year ago, I was in Listowel and Spinrite Yarn Factory was having a huge warehouse closing sale. So I moseyed on over there and had a look around and left with 2 huge garbage bags full of yarn. The sales were incredible. I could not pass it up. I'm trying to get away from value brand or department store type yarn. However, these deals, like I said, they were just phenomenal. And so I came away from there, I think I spent maybe $200, maybe that. Definitely did not go over that. But I came out of there with $600 worth of yarn. So I didn't buy any yarn in there for myself. I bought it all with gift knits in mind, with blankets in mind. So that's why this podcast is so blanket heavy today, because I've been working through that yarn because it did take up quite a bit of space in my house. So yeah, let's just jump right into finished objects. First finished object is the Snowdrifter Chunky Blanket by Jess Copham. The yarn is Bernat Blanket Speckle. It's gonna be hard to show these projects on camera, but if I have photos of them, I will insert them as well. This blanket is nice because it has that really subtle scalloped edge. It's a crochet project. It works up very quickly because of the loose stitching gauge there. It is machine washable and dryable, and I haven't decided who this is going to be for yet, but I wanted to get that yarn worked up and this project finished. It's very soft. I do like Bernat blanket yarn once in a while. It's very chunky though. I don't know that I would see myself making anything with it except for blankets and maybe some amigurumi stuffed animals, but it's very soft. I can tell it's gonna hold up well over time. And like I said, it is machine washable and dryable, so that's very convenient. The size of this blanket is just a lap blanket size. So whoever I give it to, I'm sure will get a lot of use out of it. The next finished blanket that I have is a baby blanket, and it is the Best Friend Butterfly Blanket by Leslie Friend of A Friend to Knit With. I guess I should hold it properly. It's got a really unique stitching detail, hence why she calls it the butterfly blanket. I've made a few of these before. This one I made from yarn that I had in stash that I really wanted to use up. I was sick of seeing it. It's kind of like a very soft fleece yarn, but I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately. Would I use it again to make this blanket? Yes, but the one thing I've noticed with all of these blankets that I've made is the edges really like to curl. So I have blocked this aggressively, but the edge keeps wanting to curl in, and I don't know how to get around that. I'm not gonna think about it too hard or make too much of a fuss about it, because it is a baby blanket, so it's gonna get worn, it's gonna get used, it's gonna get tattered at some point, and the baby really won't be concerned with the edges folding in. The color I chose because I wanted it to be somewhat gender neutral. I think it would be okay to give this for a boy or a girl, but I do have a couple babies coming up in my life that I'm going to give this to one way or another. So the size of it is nice. I tried to make a size that would fold well or drape well over a baby carrier, but it is nice and soft, so the baby can snuggle up with it when they are old enough. My next finished object is not a blanket, but I thought I'd sprinkle some non-blanket projects throughout just to break up the monotony of it all. This is the Huga Homebody Crochet Cardigan by Krista Co Design. It's a closureless, long, drapey cardigan. Loose stitch gauge, very flowy. The arms are fitted. I can try it on for you because I made this one for myself. Well, I made it to put away as a gift, but then I liked it and I didn't have anyone to give it to, so I just kept it. But yeah, so as you can see, nice and drapey and flowy. It fits really well. Sorry, I can't show you right to the bottom. But I've made quite a few of these over the years. I've made over 5 for sure. In fact, I think not this garment in particular, but this pattern was the first garment that I have ever made, if I'm not mistaken. I used like a very pretty color fading cream and gray yarn before. Forget the name of it, but it was a value brand. You can find it anywhere at like Michael's or Lens Mail Store, places like that. But yeah, so this is the one that I have. It's a good pattern because the stitches are so loose over time, it will conform to your body specifically. Like the stitches will stretch a little bit and just mold to your body concaves. Here is another one that I've made. This one I made in a small size. I knew it wasn't going to be for me, but I just wanted to try to make a smaller garment. This one has pockets on it. I don't think my last one had pockets on it. And then I put a little tag, a cork tag there with a nice gold or brass rivet. If you have an eye for detail, you will notice one of the sleeves is a little bit smaller than the other. It's looking very apparent with the way that it is on the hanger. It's not actually that much shorter. It's only, I measured, it's only like 1.5 inches shorter. But when I hold it up like this, it looks a lot shorter. But it's not actually, so. I don't want to give this away as a gift with its imperfections, but I do want somebody to get some sort of enjoyment out of it. And all of my nieces have been really supportive in my crocheting and knitting journey. And I asked my youngest niece if she would like to have this. I did tell her that one of the sleeves was a bit shorter than the other, but she was fine with it. So I am going to be giving this to her, not as like a gift for like an occasion, but I'll just give it to her just because. The yarn that I used for both, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Bernat. It's acrylic. They come in humongous balls. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but the balls are so big that the yarn band had to come off. But yeah, again, machine washable and dryable, super convenient for whoever they're gonna belong to. My next finished blanket is the Bernat blanket, perfect phasing yarn, but the pattern is self-drafted. When you buy this yarn, well, let me just show you the project first. It's really pretty. Just very simple. When you buy Bernat or Yarnspirations yarn, there is a pattern on the inside of the label. And originally I bought this yarn to make that pattern. It was like a knit, sort of, not cable knit, but it did have like sort of chain looking rows or slip stitch looking rows going down. But it was knit, so I did attempt to make it, but the knitting needle size it called for was huge, and it was just very cumbersome to work up. So I probably knit up like that much, which took a really long time, but I decided to frog it and do crochet because for some reason knitting blankets are just not my jam. I'm not a fan of knitting blankets. That's why the Best Friend butterfly blanket is so small. because for some reason I just don't enjoy knitting blankets, but crocheting them, love crocheting blankets. I can crank those out all day long. It's so rhythmic and relaxing to me, and it just burns through yarn. It's so satisfying. I cannot get enough of crocheting blankets. But this one, I have a feeling who I'm gonna give this to, but we'll see. As of right now, it doesn't have an owner in mind, but it's really soft and cozy. I love it. The color combo does not go with my house at all. Otherwise, I would keep it for myself. If they had a more neutral color, then yeah, I might make one for myself, but I didn't see any neutral colors there. And this yarn comes in like a cake. So it comes with the lighter color on the outside and then the darker color on the inside. I did notice while working with this yarn that a lot of it I had to cut out because the color fading was not consistent, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to think back specifically. So for example, the lighter color, I had to cut out a bunch of the lighter color because you could see flecks of pink that had dropped on the yarn and stained it. But I could tell that that was from the dyeing process in the factory. It wasn't something that happened after the fact. So I don't know, I guess to make this color, they need a little bit of pink in there. But it was kind of annoying because I wanted the color fading length to match throughout the blanket. So there's two white sections and 3 purple sections. So if you see the white section on this side, it's thicker or wider or longer than the other side. That's because, like I said, I had to cut a bunch of it out, but whatever. C'est la vie. The blanket still looks gorgeous. The stitch pattern I used, I just did it from my head, and it is you make your chain and then you do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and then coming back you crochet in all of the chain 1 spaces and then chain 1 over top of all of the single crochets. Am I explaining that well? No, sorry. But the basis is single crochet, chain, single crochet, chain, and then coming back, you're lining it up oppositely. So that is my favorite stitch pattern to use in crocheting. You can just meditate into such a trance doing that stitch. And normally when I knit and crochet, I have to look at what I'm doing. I'm not one of those people that can look at other things while I'm crafting away. I have to look at what I'm doing. But with that stitch pattern, you can look a little bit less because the space that you're working in, the chain 1, you can just feel with your hand as you go along, so you know exactly where to insert your hook. Pretty nice. Let's move on to whips. I forgot one upstairs, so let me go grab that. Here is a blanket that I'm not quite done yet. I have to go through and weave in all of the ends. There's a lot of ends. This is made from Bernat Blanket Speckle yarn, and that's what the label looks like. It's 100% acrylic. Sorry, 100% polyester. And the blanket pattern, this is what I was talking about earlier. There's patterns on the back of the label. So I just made that. I made that one. And it's called the Speckle Stripes Crochet Blanket. It was not very hard at all. I did modify the pattern a bit in that I made it wider, and the striping pattern I changed up a little bit. I mean, it's still stripes. I just changed the width of them a little bit. The yarn, so actually I use two different types of yarn. I use the Bernat Blanket Speckle for that color, and then for this one, it is Bernat Forever Fleece. Two different styles of yarn. But still, this one, the Bernat Fleece, sorry, Forever Fleece, is still 100% polyester, but it's a different texture. It's kind of got like a halo to it, whereas that one doesn't. Either way, 100% polyester they both are, so machine washable and dryable. Hopefully they will cooperate with each other as time goes on. This blanket, there's a lot of yarn in this blanket. It's quite weighty, but I made this for a man in my family. I know who this is going to. This is totally his color scheme, and his birthday's coming up. So all I have to do is weave in the ends, and then we'll be good to get this one away. My next work in progress is another blanket, and it's blanket number 18, crochet pattern by Daisy and Peace. That's what it looks like on the paper, but I am doing a Christmas blanket. It is so pretty. It is so fun. It's very potato chippy. Every section is only a few different rows, like every different stitch pattern is a few different rows, so you never get bored, you never get sick of whatever stitch you're doing. Yeah, I love this pattern. I'm gonna make more of them, maybe not quite this large, but I'm gonna make more. I'm just about to finish up. The blanket is at the length that I want it to be. And then I'm gonna put a border around it because where the stitch patterns change, it's quite rough looking and I don't like that look. I do think that it would be really pretty if I were to have made color changes. So like, for example, this would be red, this would be white, this would be green, and then change it as you go along. That would look really pretty as well, but I think just the plain red looks quite striking. My last whip that I'm going to share is another blanket, and it is the Rustic Textures crochet blanket by Yarnspirations, made from Bernat Symphony yarn. This one I need to go through and put tassels on it. That's all that's remaining. It's been sitting in a bin for a while, that's why it's kind of curling. But it is a crochet project, so there is a right side and a wrong side. That's what the wrong side looks like. Here is what the label is. Again, I just was struck by the project label, so I made the project from the back. I have one skein here that I'm going to use to make the tassels. It was a nice yarn to work with. It's quite rustic, named accordingly, and I'm not sure how it's going to wear up. I feel like it will pill, but it's a blanket. Like, I feel like it's not like a garment where you're gonna have friction all the time. And this, I do have a person in mind that I've made this for. They don't know who they are, and I will not say who they are until I've given it out, because I have a feeling that they may be interested in watching this podcast. The last thing I will talk about is a project fail, and it is the Maleeds dress by Ver. There is what it looks like. It is a custom fitted knit dress, reversible, so you can wear it with the buttons down the front or flip it around and wear it with the buttons on the back. It's gorgeous. I really want to make this dress. I attempted to make it using Knitting for Olive pure silk. But I failed at this project for numerous reasons. The first reason was working with silk. That is a challenge for me. I feel like my stitches were not even. The texture, it was very see-through. I got gauge, but I'm not sure how I feel about having a potentially see-through dress. And this dress, I don't know if you could wear a slip under it. But I got probably 6 to 10 inches done of the top part. And then I just decided to call it quits because this pattern is quite complicated in my opinion because it is custom fit. You have to take a bunch of your measurements, plug it into different formulas. If you get this number, then you use this section of the pattern until you get to a certain point. But then if you're this number, you keep going, or if not, then you switch to a different section of the pattern. It is a whole thing that I need to be mentally ready for. I was not mentally ready for it at the time. I will not be mentally ready for it anytime soon. So this has taken a back seat. I'm probably going to try making something else with this yarn. It was quite expensive. It's 100% barrette silk. But definitely a summer garment type yarn. Maybe I'll make like a loose drapey tank top or something like that. So that's all I'm going to talk about today for my fiber related things. I do have a lot more to talk about, but I don't want this podcast to be hours and hours long. I did have a podcast before under a different name, and that was so much fun. I really loved doing it, but there were some privacy concerns that I had, and it took a lot of time and energy and effort to make those videos. So I just took a step back. I deleted my channel, but now I'm ready to start back up again, especially because I'm in a different season of life now. So that's that, but I'm going to talk a bit about my flying journey. I did not always want to be a pilot. Being a pilot or in aviation was not something that had ever occurred to me until the last few years. I spent a year or two thinking about it. Was it an itch that I needed to scratch, or could I think about it and then move on, sort of thing? But the voice within me became louder and louder. I feel that God is calling me to get this license so that I can better help people and use my training for good, sort of thing. So it's because of him that I have moved in this direction. I have no regrets. I love it. It's the best thing that I've ever done. So as of right now, I am just a student pilot, but like I said, a couple of years ago, it was like a little voice inside of me, and then it got louder and louder. I researched it. Originally, I looked at fixed wing versus rotary wing licenses, so airplane versus helicopter. The price difference scared me away from helicopters entirely. And I was trying to find a fixed wing school that met my needs, but I wasn't able to. I spent a whole year trying to get my medical clearance That was a very frustrating and slow process. They said it was going to be probably around 40 days to hear back from Transport Canada and get my clearance on that. It took them 6 months to get back to me, only to find out that they wanted me to do further testing. So overall, it took me a whole year to get that done. Once I got that done, I immediately enrolled in online ground school for fixed wing. I got halfway through that, but I still could not find a fixed wing school that met my needs and that was accessible to me. I had contemplated going out west, but ultimately, thankfully, that didn't happen because I was getting really frustrated, seemingly getting roadblock after roadblock in that process of trying to find a school. So then I turned back towards helicopters and I really researched it. Come to find out that my preconceived notions were garbage, because although the hourly training rate for fixed wing is cheaper compared to helicopter, you can get your helicopter commercial license a lot faster than you can your fixed wing. So when you do the math, or at least when I did the math, it was comparable. So I called up my local helicopter flight school. I'm lucky enough that I have one that is relatively close to me, and they were great. As soon as I spoke to them on the phone, I got really good vibes. They got me in right away to do a full tour of their facilities. I did an intro flight. That was my first time in a helicopter. And as soon as we took off, I got goosebumps, I got tears in my eyes, and I knew that this was what I wanted to do. That intro flight was last July, so July 2025. By September, I was enrolled in the flight school. So I did my ground school portion online. I switched it to the helicopter version and was flying about 2 to 3 times every week until like September until December. I would leave my job early. I'd use some vacation and I'd go in and fly after work. So I'd get up at 4:30 every morning, work till 2:15, go fly from 3 until 5, get home at 6, and then I do it all again. So that was a big commitment for me. Come December, the weather completely dropped off everything. I was still enrolled in 2 to 3 flights every week, but they kept getting canceled for weather. So I think between December and April, I flew maybe 10 times. I would have to go back and look at my flight logbook, but it wasn't very much. So I was just moving at a snail's pace. So getting into this, I wanted to get my commercial license within a year. So that will bring me to September 2026. And we are now in July 2026. So I have fully committed myself to finishing up my license for the summer. I've taken an approved leave of absence from my job. They know that I'm doing this. And it has been a world of difference. I can fly every day, obviously weather permitting. My learning is just that much quicker. I already banged out the written exam. I did that in February or March. That was quite the endeavor. I what's the saying? Eat, slept, and breathed ground school all winter, because I figured I'm not flying, so why not just dedicate myself to getting that ground school done. And my school was able to look at the online database and saw that I logged over 700 hours over the winter of studying. And that's just what I logged on the computer. That's not including all of the supplemental stuff that I did on the side. So this journey has not been easy, but it has been the most rewarding thing that I've ever done, the coolest thing that I've ever done. It makes me very happy. I'm passionate about it. I don't know where it's going to take me, but the finish line is in sight. I'm over halfway to getting my license. Like I said, I got the written done, and I'm at 59 hours. I need 100 hours and then I do a flight test. But yeah, so we're on track to get it done. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Sorry for the rambling on. If you want to keep up with me, you can find me on Instagram, the Purling Pilot. Purling is like Purling, like purling, knitting. And same for on Ravelry. So Ravelry, Instagram, and this YouTube. Thank you very much for spending time with me. And I hope you're having a great summer. You're staying cool, you're staying safe, and you're staying happy. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.